back, everybody, to another Fit Tips with Autumn. I'm Caleb and Autumn is here. Today we're talking about the real key to your fitness success. Now, a lot of you guys might be thinking, oh great, I'm going to learn the perfect workout or the perfect diet, the best set and rep scheme. But that's not really what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about self-discipline and how our mindset has shifted on self-discipline, what it really is, and how we can change our mindset to make self-discipline start to work in our favor. We tend to think that people with strong self-discipline have really strong willpower and that they must have some strong internal force driving them to make all of these good decisions. The reality is, if you ask these people why they make the choices that they do, they won't say it's out of some strong desire of self-denial that they're able to overcome. Instead, they're going to tell you that they make these choices because they want to. And this idea that we think self-discipline goes hand in hand with self-denial is really where we start to mess up our mindset about self-discipline. And it creates some sort of paradox where we think to get really strong self-discipline, we have to have really strong willpower. And to have really strong willpower, we have to have really strong self-discipline. And then it's this cycle that we can never overcome. And that ties into this idea that all of our personal decisions are tied into some sort of moral decision. And that, man, that person who's able to eat that salad instead of that donut is such a good person, and man, when I eat that donut, I'm a bad person. And so we get this chain of self-discipline equaling willpower, equaling self-denial, equaling being a good person. So in order to change our mindset around self-discipline, we need to start to remove self-judgment from our decisions. So let's say that you're trying to lose weight, but you really love chocolate donuts, because I really love chocolate donuts. And try as you might to lose weight and stop eating chocolate donuts. Whatever you've tried just hasn't worked, whether it's dieting or trying to stop from sheer willpower, or getting other people around you to help you stop. Whatever you've tried, it hasn't worked. And you hate yourself for not being able to stop, and you view yourself as a bad person because you continually eat these chocolate donuts and you just can't seem to take them out of your routine. So the first step to self-discipline is to take this judgment out of those decisions. You have to accept the fact that you cave in to your personal indulgences and take this shame out of that and realize that everybody caves into some sort of indulgent, and that doesn't make you a bad person. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done. A lot of times we don't even realize all of the negative self-talk that goes into our head. But a lot of times that looks like, I ate that chocolate donut because I'm a bad person. I can't do this exercise quite right because I'm a bad person. That person can run a marathon and I can't because I'm a bad person. She or she was able to lose all of that weight in such a short amount of time, but I could never do that because I'm a bad person. And what happens here is that these thoughts start to take over and relieve some of your responsibility from your choices. And you start to accept that, well, I'm just a bad person, so I'm never going to be able to change. And this is just who I am. And it can be scary to think about the possibility that you're capable of actually making some of these changes. And you can start to judge yourself because you've wasted all of this time up until this point not being able to change. So that self-judgment can start to creep up yet again. But once we've established that just because something feels bad doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, then we can start to get to the root cause of that emotional drive that's driving your decisions. Now, that might not necessarily be a very fun road, but if you figure out that, man, I'm eating these chocolate donuts in the morning because I have a really stressful job that I just don't want to go into, and these chocolate donuts are making me feel good before I have to go through my day, now we can realize what the true emotional drive of this eating donuts is and start to address that instead of the chocolate donuts. And now, instead of feeling good about eating chocolate donuts, we have the true feeling of maybe feeling sick or bloated because we're eating all of these donuts every single morning. So now that we understand the psychology a little bit behind self-discipline and what it's not, let's talk about some ways to practice self-discipline and improve in that area. So the first thing that we can do is flip the scales back in our favor and make the benefits of doing a certain decision more than the benefits of not doing that decision. So for a really simple example, let's go back to those chocolate donuts. And if you give $2,000 to your friend and say, if I don't eat a single chocolate donut for 2 months, then give me this $2,000 back. Otherwise, you get to keep it. Now we've started to flip the scales back into our favor, make the benefits of not eating chocolate donuts a lot stronger than the benefits of eating chocolate donuts. Then the second way is to build a social network around you that is supporting you. So if you think about doing a group exercise class, you're probably a lot more motivated to do the exercises that everyone is doing. Why? Because you don't want to be the person back in the corner that's not able to keep up with the class. So using this social support network, building this team around you that is supporting your decisions is going to help make those decisions a lot easier. The third thing is to make your environment work for you. Self-discipline is already hard enough, so we want to make it as easy as possible. So if you surround yourself with chocolate donuts every day, it's going to be really hard for you to prevent yourself from eating them. But if they're not in your house and they're not at work, it's going to make that a lot easier. Same thing if you struggle to work out after work every time you come home and sit on the couch. It's almost impossible for you to get back up off the couch. And we need to change that environment and maybe think about working out before we make it home so we still have energy to get and do that. And then the last way is realizing that failures are really victories, and that making a change isn't just flipping a switch. It's not off or on. It's going to be a dial that we turn, and it might go up for a few days and it might go down for a few days, and we might have times where we're doing really great and times where we're not doing really great. But you have to realize that in order to fail, you have to have tried in the first place, and that trying in itself is really a success. So these failures are just successes that you get to learn from. So once you remove self-judgment from your decisions and create situations in which the emotional driver of doing a certain situation is greater than not doing it, then we've removed willpower from self-discipline. Now you wake up early because it feels good to wake up early. You eat eggs for breakfast instead of chocolate donuts because it makes your body feel good. You exercise instead of sitting around all day because you feel good. And over time, you look like that person who has really strong willpower, even though all of these decisions are coming effortless to you. That's it for this episode of Fit Tips with Autumn. Please leave your comments below with any thoughts, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.